Hello, and welcome back to the ROKER RAPPORT XTRA podcast. You had Mark last week. I'll let him have it for a week. Not that I couldn't be asked, I just had stuff on, do you know what I mean? Lo and behold, we won after he did it. My success rate for winning games when I've done the extra podcast is relatively small. However, I did do it before Charlton, so fair play. I'm hoping I continue on Mark's success this week. It's a bit weird winning games, isn't it? That's what, 3 and 4. There's only Luton that have failed to... we failed to beat, sorry, should I say, just yet. Great win last night. I'm obviously recording this on a Thursday. A few people said didn't play that well. I think obviously there's a few things in defence and so on and so forth. But if you're going to argue the 4-1 win, like, where have you been for the past few years with Sunderland? Do you know what I mean? So I'm happy. I'm positive. As I said, I was the other week before the Charlton game. Thankfully, that positivity's piled into the start of the season. We're almost at the end of the first month. And coming up tomorrow, for you tomorrow, 2 days for me, you have AFC Wimbledon, which I think is actually a first for us technically in the current guise. And to help us get to know Wimbledon, the new Wimbledon, if you prefer, a little better, is Josh from the DonsCast. How you doing, mate? You well?
Yeah, I'm well. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
You don't sound like you're from Wimbledon. Give me the story.
No, I'm not. I'm actually from Boston, Massachusetts. I really got into Wimbledon, I would say like 6-7 years ago, when I really started to like follow league football a little bit closer. And I fell in love with Wimbledon and their story and everything that they've been through to get back to where they are currently, playing in the league above the franchise in Milton Keynes. So I think that's pretty cool. So I've just been a Wimbledon fan for like 6-7 years now.
And remind me, how old are Wimbledon? I know that sounds really ignorant, but I completely forget how old the new Wimbledon are.
The original Wimbledon FC, I believe, was founded in 1889, I think. And after the club moved to Milton Keynes, this new Wimbledon team was founded in 2002.
And it's funny because I remember the old Wimbledon. I remember when they got took over and they went to Milton Keynes, and I think we played them. I remember Darren Byfield scoring. I mean, we're really going back now, but it was an old time. But I remember the old Wimbledon as well. And I mean, everyone kind of liked old Wimbledon, but no one really loved old Wimbledon because of the Vinnie Joneses. But everyone kind of likes AFC Wimbledon. It's fan based. It's kind of fighting against the franchise. And do you feel that?
Yeah, it's an underdog atmosphere, to say the least. Even like the old Wimbledon teams in like the late 80s when they won the FA Cup and they were able to beat Liverpool, they were called the Crazy Gang. I feel like that team had a lot of support behind it, like just because people were rooting for the underdog, and they've just been the underdog throughout the history of the club.
Yeah, and no more so than probably now. And it is a great story when you really think about it. And it's like, it's funny, there's not many teams you could say, I followed like 7 years ago, and you followed them like almost their entire history. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of funny to think I followed them a majority of their history pretty much, and I was late to the game. So it's kind of funny to see the club move forward the way that they have been. I
mean, bringing it up to like present day, it's still really early in the season, don't get me wrong, but I was looking through the results, and obviously you finished, near the bottom of the league last year, but you take away yesterday's result, and you started quite well.
Yeah, the season got off to a great start, beating Fleetwood, and that was away too. So that was a great win to start the season off. But since then, they've kind of had trouble scoring goals. But take away the result against Walsall, and it has been a pretty good season thus far.
Because you got a point down at Barnsley, which Barnsley they've beaten everyone, a bit like us. I mean, there's only Luton that have managed to like hold us to a draw, and then you look at Sunderland and Barnsley. You would maybe say the two favourites, certainly from a bookie's perspective. But yes, you didn't score, but you managed to keep Barnsley out. So how's the team looking? Is it suffering from Lyle Taylor not being there?
I would definitely say it's a Lyle Taylor sized gap that they need to fill in the front. Over the past off season, they signed 10 new players, I think. So it's been a real hectic time for the club. I think they're really just trying to figure out their identity right now, moving forward for the season.
You mentioned about how many players you'd signed. It's a bit like us when I had a Charlton fan on before obviously opening the game of the season, and they didn't technically have a full-time manager because Boyer was caretaker. And then I looked at the players they'd signed, and they signed like pretty much Lyle Taylor and nobody else. I looked at the people you had signed, and I was like, oh fucking hell, there's quite a few down there. So is that been the case of because again, from the outside looking in, you've lost obviously probably your big name player, but have you lost other players that are kind of vital to that cog, and you kind of, as you said, trying to find a new identity?
We lost this really great piece in the midfield that we had, Dean Parrott, and I'm not quite sure where he went, but he was like the main midfielder that we had, and most of our pushes forward really came through him. So that's been another like gap that's still trying to get filled in. We brought in a couple really good midfielders in Scott Wagstaff and Anthony Wordsworth, and they've been able to provide some energy in the midfield to try to help fill up those gaps that we've had from losing Dean Parrott.
And I think Parrott actually went to our opponents yesterday, Gillingham, I think. But then you've also brought in Wagstaff from Gillingham, I believe. But Wagstaff's former, I want to say former Charlton. I think I've played Football Manager too much. I know these players more than I should. Which brings me on to you're sponsored by Football Manager, right?
Yeah, that's the sponsor on the front of the kit. It's pretty awesome. It's a great sponsor to have.
Yeah, it's like the best you can have. Like. Period. Yeah. Do you think that was that kind of brought in because kind of AFC Wimbledon kind of almost is like fantasy football in a sense, like it's fan based and built up from the bottom? So
yeah, I'm sure that probably had something to do with it. It's a great game and it gives you a lot of control, which is something that the fans of Wimbledon actually have. It's a fan owned club. Fans usually have a say in all the decisions that are made. They elect the board. They do all those kind of things. So it's really a fan experience if you're a Wimbledon fan.
And it is a different world in a sense to Sunderland Association Football Club, but at the same time, it's funny you mention about being sort of fan based. Now, obviously, we've got Stuart Donald who's just took over, and you've got obviously Charlie as well, and you've got Wan who's come on board at the same time and sort of bought the club. But I think it's not so much like just having that new owner. What's been quite nice is like the things that have happened in pre-season. Like we got to change the seats in the stadium because they were faded and they were old. And it does kind of feel like Sunderland's came back to the fans, and it really does push you further forward, doesn't it? When you have like, when what you're doing as a fan actually dictates what happens on the pitch almost. We've always felt like a family-based club. Wimbledon must feel like that 100%.
Oh yeah, I bet. Unfortunately, I've never been able to make it to London to get to a game, but just watching I follow it on the iFollow app, which allows people abroad to watch the games. Yeah, it's a great product. But all the games that I watch, the people that are there, they know each other. It's a small stadium. They play at Kingsmeadow in South London. They're currently in the process of building a new stadium, returning to Plough Lane, which has been something the club has wanted to do since the late 90s. So to see, it's such a family atmosphere, I feel like, at the matches. And it makes me feel proud to be a Wimbledon fan. I feel like almost everyone in the league, I feel like no one's met a Wimbledon fan and been like, wow, that guy was a real dick. Like,
yeah, because it's like, I mean, there's probably been I've met a few Sunderland fans that I think of that, but you're probably right when it comes to Wimbledon. Again, it was, I remember when it happened, and I remember it just being absolutely mental, for want of a better word. It was just like, you can't just move a team and put them in a different place entirely. And it just, like I say, I remember we went to that Blummin hockey stadium that I think they still play at. And it was so soulless. And it was just, you basically just went, well, we're not going to have it. We're going to put the fans here. But you mentioned before, you're a whole league above them now. What kind of satisfaction does that give you?
It feels so good. I sleep so good every night knowing the franchise of Milton Keynes is playing in League Two, and that we leapfrogged them. And we started with an open tryout in the town lawn in South London in 2002, and now we're above the team that moved that we had to replace.
And you played each other not so long ago in the Cup, if I remember rightly, because I remember it being it was a result I looked out for in a really weird way. Like, yeah, you watch your Man Uniteds and your Man Cities and whatnot, you'll watch that. But I remember I'm sure you played each other first and foremost in the Cup, and I remember just being like, I really want Wimbledon to win that. Like, and don't get me wrong, I really want to hammer you on Saturday. Like, it's nice to see that kind of fan. It's a quite literally fan led, fan bred, if you prefer. You know what I mean? It's all born from basically people saying you're not taking Wimbledon. But one thing that does interest me, and I don't know whether you can answer this based on what you told me before, but you've probably got a better idea than I do. Do you align with Wimbledon's previous history, or do you align from like AFC Wimbledon forward? Do you still class it as the same team because it's the same city, the same fans, probably?
So what happened was when Wimbledon FC moved to Milton Keynes, they took the Wimbledon trophies with them and the history with them. And once AFC Wimbledon was founded, they protested and said, that's their history. We should have the trophies. We should have the history. It's our club. And Milton Keynes relinquished that and gave it to Wimbledon. So all of Wimbledon's accomplishments in the past are associated to AFC Wimbledon, which was really cool.
It's cool, but at the same time, it does beg the question, what the hell were they thinking when they moved it in the first place? Like, what was the point of that? Just buy a team in Milton Keynes. Like, just make a new team, start from the bottom, do what you guys did. It goes to show you just can't do that. And I remember at one point, I don't know how far true this is, and this is really going back in my memory, but didn't he want to move you to like Dublin or some shit?
Yeah, there was talks of moving the club to Ireland. There was talks of moving them to Dublin. And I don't even know how that would have worked, having a league football team in another country. I don't know what the plan would have been there.
Do you think he had a plan, or do you think he just like had a bit of a brain fart and lots of money?
That's kind of what it seems like. He tried to manufacture a football club by stripping one down and replacing it and expecting people to be attached to it. People love their football teams because their grandfather loved their team, their father loved that team, that you went to the games on Saturdays and Sundays. And to just up and move a team to Milton Keynes, and there's no history, there's no connection. It's just, oh, we have a 25,000 seater with a team that just moved here. I guess they're my club now. I don't know. Like,
it just seems strange. Like, I mean, it kind of dawned on me that I was going to be like talking to an AFC Wimbledon fan, and I was just like, that's fucking mad. Like, the more you think about the whole situation, and I was like, I should probably touch on that. And I thought that would take a good 10 minutes up, and it has. But I suppose moving forward, I'm a pretty happy chappy at the minute. I think, you know, the players we've signed very much are proven to be, so far, top level League One standard. I think Leuven's, Baldwin's been excellent. Maguire's been very good. But again, you know, I've never been in Division 3 as a Sunderland fan, and I'm 32. I was struggling with the Championship last year, and sometimes I look through certain teams and there's certain names that stick out, but I'm still, I don't think I'm ignorant to it, but I'm still pretty clueless. I'm not as clued up as I thought I was. So what's Wimbledon's style of play? Like, what are you, like the old guys where you just kick lumps out of us, or do you have like a passing game? Or give me a bit of insight on Wimbledon. What are we to expect?
This season, they've played really defensive-mindedly. They've played really far back, in exception for the Walsall game. I've really been saying a lot of the times they're not creative, trying to push the ball forward. At times, they all just take a nice lofted pass, like from one box down to the other, and hope that someone's going to control it and try and put it in the back of the net, which we haven't been doing a lot of. We have 5 points, and we have a negative goal differential. So it's not great. It's a defensive minded team. It's a lot of lofted passes. You'll see a lot of crosses from Pinnock and Wagstaff and Wordsworth. They'll try to whip it into the box. We have this player, Joe Pigott. He came from Maidstone in the 5th tier, I believe, last January, and we call him the Maidstone and Messi. He's been pretty solid. He scored the first goal of the season, and he is going to be like the main strike force up front, I believe, trying to fill where Lyle Taylor left. So you'll see a lot of crosses into the box and trying to see Joe Pigott find his head on it and put one in the back of the net. But for the most part, it's a mainly defensive game, a little bit of a midfield game, and then a lot of crossing. That seems to be the strategy this year.
So when it comes to AFC Wimbledon, you know, you finished, I think, 17th, 18th last year.
I believe so, yeah.
For us, I've said this a few times, and I think as a fan base, we feel that anything less than promotion for us would be a failure. But what's success for AFC Wimbledon this season? At
the beginning of the year, I was really hoping for a mid-table finish. I don't want to be getting down the last couple weeks of the season and having to rely on other teams' results about getting relegated. I really think that the players that our manager Neil Ardley has brought in have been really great pieces. And I think that the talent on this team has potential to finish mid-table. They just need to figure out their identity. And I think that's going to take a little while with 10 new signings coming in and so many players leaving.
And I suppose when it comes to the game on Saturday, then are you expecting it to be defensive, and are you hopeful for I don't want to sound arrogant at all, but I suppose we're one of the bigger teams and we've started well, but do you think it's going to be a backs to the wall job? Do you have a fear of us? Or do you think you can do us?
I would be really surprised if Wimbledon came away with 3 points from this game. I'd still even be surprised if they came away with 1 point from this game. I mean, Sunderland was a Premier League team just 2 years ago. It's 2 years ago we were still fighting in League Two. So I think it's going to be, we're going to have a lot of men back, and we're going to try to look for mistakes that Sunderland might make and try to really counter on that. But I don't expect Wimbledon to be playing a really front forward game and trying to get as many shots on net as they possibly can manage.
And I suppose as an American, obviously you said you're from Massachusetts. What's your thoughts on Lyndon Gooch? Well, have you had much of a chance to see him? I mean, obviously he plays in the American team. He's done well for ourselves, but what's your thoughts on our team as a whole? Have you managed to catch us this season? And is there anyone you fear?
I haven't really followed Sunderland too closely this season. Like I said, like you were saying how you don't really know much about Wimbledon. I don't really know much about Sunderland because I hadn't really been focusing on you guys so much. I didn't really perceive it as a threat, but it seems like you guys just put a battering on
Gillingham.
Gillingham. What was the final score in that? 3-1, 4-1?
4-1. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's going to be a lot of attack, I think, from Sunderland, and the Dons are just going to have to find a way to absorb that.
Yeah, I mean, yesterday, we went 1-0 down in 2 minutes, but we were 3-1 up by the 20th minute. And I think we were also 3-0 at half-time against Scunthorpe. And although Charlton was obviously a bit of a scare because we went 1-0 down, Lyle Taylor scored the penalty. We came back, won that in the 96th minute, and it really did feel like that was sort of a catalyst. And obviously we've got Josh Madger has just put 4 goals in 4 games as well, which I think someone said that was a record, but I'm pretty certain that's not the case. I'm sure I remember Kevin Phillips scoring 7 games in a row, but as a child I remember him scoring in every game. But it's funny you mentioned a lot of teams that just like to chuck things in the box in this league. Do you think that's what could set Sunderland apart, that we actually play a lot on the floor? We play an awful lot on the floor so far anyway.
Yeah, I think that's what separates. You can definitely tell Sunderland has a different play style. You can tell that they have Premier League experience, and just the attitude of the club is really different. I feel like a lot of the teams in League One, they play League One football, where it feels like Sunderland is playing Championship or Premier League football. In comparison, it's a lot more calculated. It's a lot more clinical.
Are you pleased you're playing us at home as opposed to away?
I'm looking forward to getting some money from the ticket sales when we play you away. I think that'll be nice.
Yeah.
Kingsmeadow is the smallest stadium in League One. I think it has 4,700 capacity, and 2,000 of that is seated. So it's a really small stadium, but it's a good atmosphere, and the fans are really passionate about this club. It means a lot to them. So to get behind them, I think it'll definitely help in this game on Saturday. It's definitely an important game.
And it's a new experience for us, a new experience for them as players. The whole league is, but I think, in a weird way, as fans, it's easy to say you enjoy a league when you're winning games, but I really enjoyed watching us absolutely twat Gillingham yesterday. I enjoyed that. It's nice to be having this kind of, we have a big stadium, and it's I believe it's got to be the biggest in that league, surely, and we've definitely got the biggest attendances. But the away games, the scramble for tickets is crazy. People really, really, really wanted tickets for Wimbledon. It was no, I have to be one of because it's kind of that I was there moment. I was at Wimbledon, and it feels like you're really coming back to kind of grassroots football, which is probably where you kind of were really into Wimbledon at the beginning, which is why I was going to say deflected, but you never kind of deflected from anywhere. That's probably why you went towards Wimbledon, I suppose. And I can understand why people love League One football. I totally get it. It's easy for me to say who's won 3 out of the last 4, but it's kind of nice going to these little stadiums that are little family clubs as opposed to the big money of the Premier League. Do I miss the Premier League? Not really, if I'm honest with you. I didn't like getting beat every other week and scrapping for relegation. Yes, you always want to be there, and yes, our foundation and our stuff that goes on in the background, I would say, is like the academy, the stadium. It is Premier League, but it's been really good fun being in League One. I just really, really hope we win it. But then at the same time, I'm going to miss it if we do that. Like, because I've loved it so far. I feel like we're going to go in every game with a chance. And you know how long it's been since I've had that feeling? A long fucking time.
I was going to say, I bet it feels amazing after the past 2 seasons you've had following Sunderland to watch them go into these tiny stadiums and just kick ass. I feel like it must feel great to watch your boys go out there on Saturdays and just lay waste to some of these teams in League One.
It feels like, and it sounds again so like patronizing. So and we're a League One team because we deserve to be in League One. There's no big stadiums, no big academy, no fan base is going to change that. We're here because we deserve to be here as a football club, and we can't go into this league and believe anything different. But like, it did make me laugh that one of our writers, Tom, who also my best friend at the same time, is hilarious at saying, I just feel like we're going to go into this league and ruffle like the hairs of every team and just be like, oh bless. And it's like, it's kind of nice being able to do that, but I just get the feeling that one of these teams is just going to do us 1-0 with like a shit penalty in the 90th minute. Like, yeah, I just feel it might be Wimbledon. Things are positive right now, and I just feel like Wimbledon might just do us 1-0 with like a really dodgy penalty towards the end of the game, and then everything's despair again.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely love to see that. But I just think the squad that we have now, they're still like, they played a few preseason matches. We've played how many matches now, including the cup tie? We've played 5. Yeah. So the team is still, it still feels like a work in progress. Like when I watch, there's passes that they miss. There's lanes that I feel like a player should take a rundown that they just don't quite get to yet. I still think it's going to take a couple of weeks until we're really start to hit the ground running and score some more goals.
You mentioned the cup game though, because when I was looking through obviously your results so far, that Portsmouth game stuck out. Then I realized it was the cup. Was that a kind of under strength Portsmouth team, or did you just play really well that night?
It was a gift from God in the 88th minute, I think. There was an absolutely horrendous own goal by a Portsmouth defender. It went right off his leg and directly into their net. Like, their keeper didn't even make a chance at it. And it was in like the 88th minute. There was nothing they could do at that point. So they won that game. And it was amazing to watch that happen.
Yeah, that's a big scalp, really, because, I mean, Portsmouth are...
I don't think they've lost a league game yet. I think they're on 12 points.
They've won every game, I think. Because I was looking at the league and I thought, well, surely that's us top of the league by now. But then there's a few teams above us. We're actually only 4th because we've got that draw down at Luton, which was actually one of the better games we played. The Luton game, it just somehow didn't seem to get the sort of win and whatnot. But looking at, obviously, the way you set up as well, that's one thing I'm quite interested in. Obviously, your style of play seems to be very similar to a lot of League One teams.
Yeah.
But have you adopted that kind of new formation that a lot of teams seem to have? You know, we have like 4 at the back, you have the holding midfielder, like the modern day 4-4-2, where you just like have these kind of inverted kind of outsided wingers. You know what I mean? The kind of 4-5-1, 4-3-3 formation. Or do you just go with fucking 4-4-2 and just fire on old school, you know?
They always seem to come out in the game in a 4-4-2, and then they have a midfielder usually stay back. It's usually Tom Soares as a midfielder, and he'll hang back and kind of be a defensive midfielder, and he'll shift in toward the middle, and then they'll go on counter, and then there'll be 1 striker up front, and then sometimes there'll be 2 strikers up front. It's a really like fluid formation. It kind of switches between the 4-4-2 and then almost like a 4-1-2-1-2 or something.
Yeah.
It's really strange, but they always seem to start off and try to play that like rock solid 4-4-2 League One formation. And it always seems to diverge into something else.
I love that you mentioned Tom Soares. It's like, I love some of the names that just crop up from here. It's like, I feel like these players are like dead. You know what I mean? Like whatever happened to that guy? Like, and he's the former Crystal Palace and Stoke player. Is that right?
That sounds right.
Yeah, because I'm sure he was quite highly rated, but we were talking about like random players that were in like random teams, like, and there's certain players like that just pop up, and you're just like, what the hell ever happened to that person? How does he still exist? And that's why I'm really liking League One. It's like I used to love that game where you could just like mention random 90s players. I'm half expecting like Stig Inge Bjornaby to appear at like left back for Walsall or some shit. It's kind of got it's got a beauty about it in its own little way, and it sounds really patronizing, and I don't like that because Sunderland's not really like that as a fan base, but it's got its own little beauty that will just go into these like tiny little grounds, winning games. That always really helps the mood, and just finding like these really old school players. And like, I mean, I live in Scotland, so I'm used to kind of hilarious football because Scottish football has some real moments, let me tell you. But
I live in the United States. Imagine what I see.
Yeah, I again, I don't want to patronize, but yes, I can imagine. But America's improved its game recently. You know, we've had some great players from America. I remember Claudio Reyna was one of the best players, most talented anyway, that I've seen in sort of my lifetime. Obviously, he was captain of America, but you didn't qualify for the last World Cup, did you? If I remember rightly.
No, it was tough. It was really tough to watch. All they had to do was not lose to Trinidad and Tobago, and they went out there and they lost to Trinidad and Tobago.
Wow. I mean, I like Trinidad because of obviously Carlos Edwards, who played for us, and a few of the guys like Kenwyne Jones, but I don't think I can think of any Trinidad players off the top of my head.
Whereas I don't blame you.
The English game, the English game did really well, and it's been like, the past few weeks have been amazing for us because it's like, I found my love again for my national team. I found my love again for like Sunderland. It's been, maybe League One football is where it's at, where you can rediscover your love for shit, And I'm starting to really, really feel that way. And I feel as a fan base, we feel like that as well. Like I'm excited for like the games. Unfortunately, I've had to miss like the first 2 home games. I only managed to go to a few preseason games, but I'm back for the Oxford game. Obviously still got my season ticket, and I'm absolutely buzzed to see us play Oxford. And with all due respect to Oxford, I'm just happy to be seeing like 11 guys on the field that like actually want to play for the shirt. And there's something to be said for that, I think, isn't there?
Yeah, there definitely is. I mean, in League One, they're obviously getting paid, but they're not out there trying to get as many goals as they can, get all the tackles that they can to try to get that big paycheck at the end of their contract. They're playing for their club and they're playing for their fans, and there's something to be said for the lower tier teams as opposed to the teams in the Premier League.
And I imagine, especially at somewhere like Wimbledon, if you don't put the work in, if you don't wear that shirt with pride, there's not really many hiding places in a stadium that small. And it feels like League One's like that. You can hear what they're saying, and let's be honest, lower level fans are not always the nicest in a hilarious way.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, some of the chants that you'll hear at the grounds and the songs that they'll sing are just downright hilarious. It's so funny because I can only watch the games from the iFollow app, so like you can just hear them in the background while the broadcaster is like trying to talk professionally about the game, and there's guys on the back like, "Hey, you're fucking shit! Get out of our stadium!" And like, it's just it's so fun to watch. I love it.
It's like I mean, this might change if we get beat on Saturday, but I feel like I never really want to leave League One. I've really liked this 4 weeks of winning games and watching. We played quite good football, but a lot of the opposition teams have been relatively poor to watch. But it's been quite fun. Like people seem pleased to have us there. It's kind of a weird situation, but nonetheless, that will change if we get dicked 1-0 in the last minute by a dodgy penalty, which the Charlton fan did say to me is that there will be 1 week where you get done 1-0 off like Walsall, and you're going to have to stomach that shit because it's going to be at home, and you're going to go home and think we've just got beat off Walsall. I never want to get overly arrogant with it, but I'm really pleased at how well we've started. I normally at this point touch on memories of games against Sunderland, but we've never played you.
I don't think so. No, I don't think there's ever been a match between the two clubs.
Not with AFC Wimbledon and Sunderland. No. I think the last time we played Wimbledon, I do vaguely remember the 2 games. I think like before it was you'd moved to the Wimbledon at the time was playing at that Blummin Hockey Stadium, and I remember we won 2-0, and I do remember Darren Byfield scoring, and I remember beating Wimbledon 2-1 at home. I think this was like 2003, and Michael Proctor scoring in the last minute. So it really does feel like a throwback, like in terms of memories. Like it's a matchup
that hasn't happened in a while.
No, like it's not at all in this guys, and not at all in the previous guys. We have played MK Dons and we did beat them for you, so there is a plus point. That was a
I
while
appreciate
ago,
that.
but we did do it. We did do it. So moving into obviously Sunderland's form, like you said, it's difficult. Like we're 5 games into the season. If I'm having this conversation with you later on down the line, we've probably watched each other's teams a lot more. We've probably got a lot more of an understanding about each other's teams. But if you had to pick anyone that you do fear from the Sunderland squad, or anyone that you think has stood out from off the top of your head, the likes of Honeyman, Gooch, is there anyone that you would pick out that you think would be our key man and the person that you feel you need to nullify going into the game on Saturday?
The first one that came to mind was Honeyman, just because, one, that's an absolutely powerful last name.
Yeah.
It's just great. He's your captain, I think so, right?
Yeah. He just newly appointed. Yeah, he's still a young boy, but he's a bit Marmite with our fan base. But I'm definitely a fan of George Honeyman. Yes.
Yeah, I think he's got. He's scored. How many goals does he have this season?
He only has 1, but he got 7 last year. He got 7 last year.
I was gonna say I thought I heard his name in the news a few times. So I think that's definitely going to be one of the biggest threats that Wimbledon's going to have to look out for.
Yeah, I mean, from his game yesterday, he played really, really well, and I think he's kind of reveling in that captaincy. And again, he's he played really quite well last season in a really, really poor, struggling side with a really bad season, and came out with 7 goals. And if we'd signed a player in pre-season who'd scored 7 goals in the championship, I'm pretty sure we'd be raving about it. So it's nice to see that he's not been as Marmitey this season. People seem on board with George Honeyman, and I really do think I agree with you. Basically, Honeyman is a vital cog in that team. He knits play together very, very nicely. But there's a guy behind him with the best name ever, Max Power, who you might know a little bit more about.
Yeah, I was listening to your podcast before I came on here. I was listening to your last episode, and every time Max Power came up with the voice effect, had me cracking up listening to it.
It's just the best. I mean, it's like I can't. And the best thing is he's been really good. Like he scored 2 goals in 3 games, and he just has the best name. It's like it's Homer Simpson's like alter ego, I believe. If you're a Simpsons fan, which we all are. Everyone's a Simpsons fan. But the best thing about it is he's actually good. Like, and he's funny. And he was posting stuff on his Instagram yesterday, like having a go at Donald Love, another person who's hilariously named. Like it's like the only person he could pick on the team with a more hilarious name or equally hilarious name is Donald Love. And Max Power is kicking off them. It's like, it's nice. Football's great. Like, we have a player called Max Power. But even without his name, he's been great. And I really think he's going to be very, very vital. But that whole midfield is looking really, really nice with Honeyman, Gooch. Chris Maguire has been excellent. And Chris Maguire is a guy we got on a free transfer from Bury. Roundly disliked by the guys at Bury. And I think any Sunderland fan listening to this will just appreciate how much of a shithouse he is. Like, when he scores, he celebrates in front of the home fans or the away fans of who were playing.
Yeah, that's tough.
Oh, you need that. You want that bastard in your team that like really wants to be a wind-up merchant. And the good thing is he's been very good. And the thing with Maguire that I've really, really, really liked is he gave away the penalty in the 5th minute against Charlton. Brand new signing, really big expectant stadium, full of like positivity after the takeover and all that stuff. And he takes a guy down in the first 5 minutes and will go like 1-0 down. His head could have easily dropped, but the last thing he's done since then is hide. And like, maybe that's the kind of players we should have been having a while ago. And maybe what he's lacking in the talent of maybe some Premier League players we've had, he certainly makes up for it in like A, being a shithouse, and B, not being that bad as a footballer either. He's very good at this level, but I'm really liking how the midfield looks. And it's nice to be able to speak to an opposition fan and say, yeah, you should fear us, actually. We're pretty good. It's been about 7 or 8 years since we've done that.
Yeah, I mean, I bet it feels great knowing that you're just about every game this season, you're going to go in being favored to come out with 3 points, if not at least 1 point. So I bet that's a great feeling, especially just the turmoil that you've been through in the past 2 seasons.
Yeah, it's been nice to, and I said this many times last season, I was a very different person on the podcast last year, the XTRA podcast. I said an awful lot of times, like, I feel like even if we win, nothing changes because this bloody chairman, this bloody Texan that we have in charge. he's just killing the club, and it's just crap, and he needs to go. And like, now that he's gone, and like we've got someone in charge that's not only just like taking it over, like he seems like a really nice bloke, which is kind of nice. I mean, I've never met him. A few of the guys who do the podcast have, and he just seems like a nice fella that just wants to have a community club where the fans are happy and everyone's happy. And I think it's, football's a simple game to play on the field. Football's a relatively simple game to play off the field. If you've got the right intentions, you can gear towards putting a club where it should be and having the interests of the fans at heart. It's just, it doesn't seem many owners are like that anymore. And I'm really pleased we seem to have a guy that gets it, because Sunderland's seemingly a really difficult place to get when it really shouldn't be. We just expect a bit of effort, and we just expect decisions to be made that are not stupid, like spending £1,000 on plastic flowers per month or something we heard this week. Like, what the hell are they doing? Like, it's beggars belief. But yeah, it does feel nice. It does feel nice to feel positive about my football club. It's been nice to enjoy your World Cup, and it's been nice to enjoy August and win 3 out of the first 4 and have a bunch of players who seem to be having a laugh, seem to connect with the fans. And if this was your introduction to AFC Wimbledon, I can completely understand why you fell in love with a club like that, because I feel like I've got my Sunderland back, and it's really good.
Yeah, I think we don't necessarily have one owner that is in charge of the financials. A lot of it comes from the supporters, a lot of donations, and a lot of different sponsorships and deals like that. And just to have fan interaction with who owns the club, and to make yourself feel like you contribute to it and that you're a part of it. It makes you feel like you're really a member. It's a club. You want to feel like a member of the club. And being a supporter of AFC Wimbledon, it's so easy to feel that way. Everyone in the community is just so amazing. And I think we have some of the best fans in, if not League One, in all of English football.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually really quite impressive when you look at what AFC Wimbledon did. Like, and I mean that sincerely. Like, it is really impressive to not just drag a team up from like where we were, like the doldrums, and really picking the club up from nothing to actually build the club from dust. It's like quite impressive. To surpass the team that made you want to do that is just downright nice, isn't it? It sounds nice for me to say it, let alone like a fan of the club. But moving forward, as always, I will ask. I'll give my prediction. I do fancy a 3-1. I think you might nick one. I think the league, the way it seems to have gone, I don't think there's going to be loads of clean sheets. I don't think it's necessarily about being bad in defence. I just think there's like a lot of long balls, and mistakes can happen at this quality of football. But I think we've got loads up front. I think, Josh Madge is completely on fire, scoring every single game. Gooch, Maguire, Honeyman, even Catmull's playing all right, which is saying something. And Max Power, obviously. I do think there's loads of goals in that team. But what's your prediction?
I mean, realistically, I would be okay with a draw, but I don't think that's going to be the case. I think Sunderland's going to come away with 3 points. I think it's either going to be a 3-1 or a 3-0 victory for Sunderland. It's just hard to see Wimbledon keeping up with a club that's gotten off to such a hard start, like knows who they are, what they want to accomplish, whereas we're still on the side of trying to figure it out almost.
Yeah, I mean, we are kind of figuring out too, but it seems that there is a plan, and we started very well. I hope that we're both right. I'm sure you don't. But
I really hope I get proven wrong. That would just be great.
I don't, but but it's been nice having you on, and it's been nice to have a perspective of someone who follows a club that is kind of brand new, to give me a bit of a perspective of something I don't know a lot about, if I'm completely honest. And I really hope that you. I'm not going to play up London because I think it's an awful place and I really don't like it. But for your own sanity, I hope that you get over to London and catch a game. But if you want to watch a real team, there's a team about 5 or 6 hours on a train further north. Lovely meeting you, my man. I'm sure it'll be like not the first time. And I hope that next time we speak, you maybe even make your way to the Stadium of Light to catch a team get beat away from home as well. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Anytime, my friend. Have a good night or day or whatever time it is over there.
Thank you so much. You too.
Catch you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. So that was the AFC Wimbledon podcast, which has been a little while since I thought I would say that, if I'm honest with you. I thought the days of playing Wimbledon were gone, but lo and behold, they're back in their own guise. And I enjoyed that. It was nice getting a little bit of feedback on what AFC Wimbledon have become, and it's I can completely understand why someone could fall in love with that idea. Like, I totally get it. And I think we're going through kind of something similar now. We're having a bit of a renaissance, aren't we? And isn't it nice to watch a team that you actually like the players? And Chris Maguire, I just absolutely love him. Like, I really like his tenacity and his shithousery. I think it's been so long since we've had that. The guy seems to want to play for Sunderland and prove some people wrong. Potentially, the people at Bury. But I think Lyndon Gooch has been excellent. I think Honeyman's been excellent. I'm really, really liking Jack Baldwin. I think the way he chucked his head in front of that boot yesterday to kind of stop us from conceding when we were 4-1 up, you've got to give a level of respect for that. But it's yeah, I'm positive. I'm really happy. I really can't knock the lads at the moment. I'm sure it'll not always be as plain sailing. We're not going to be 3-0 up and 3-1 up at halftime every single week. There will be tough games. We will get beat. We're not going to go through this league invincible, and there will be tough games. There's teams that have had better starts than us. But bloody hell, it's just nice to feel positive and feel like we can beat teams at home, away from home, and have a bunch of players and a chairman and people around the chairman actually caring about the club. We don't feel like a dying carcass anymore. We kind of feel like maybe not Sunderland in what we know. We can be bigger, stronger, more powerful, but it does feel like Sunderland's back as a football club. Like, we matter again. We're not a laughing stock anymore. We've got a solid chairman. We've got a good team. We've got a good young manager. We've got some good young players, and we've got a lot of positivity in that team and a lot of positivity in that fan base. I hope it continues. I hope that we do beat Wimbledon on Saturday. Of course, I think we will. If we don't, though, don't panic. We're still a work in progress. We're going to have hiccups this season. Things are not going to be perfect. I think we're all prepared for patience, but let's enjoy it while it's going good. I'll see you next week before the Oxford game. I hope I'm talking about another 3 points, which I think would put us on to 13 points at that point. And hopefully, sooner rather than later, we're pushing the top of that league, get to the top of the league, and stay there and don't move from it. I'm feeling that level of positive, and I hope you are too. Thanks for checking in as always. Enjoy your night or your day or your morning whenever you're listening to it, and enjoy 3 points hopefully on Saturday. Thanks now. Bye.